What movie star do people say you look like?
That's a really tricky question because I am actually someone who doesn't watch a lot of movies. I mean, I watch movies, but it seems like around here, my coworkers, have you seen this movie? No. Have you seen it? I've seen the classics, but I think if you disregard the hair, I think Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. If you just look at my face, maybe if I grow my hair is naturally curly, so if I grow my hair a little bit, I think. But I've been told that I look like maybe has a paler complexion, but we're both British, so.
Nice.
All right, cool.
Ben told me he's going to ask you this question, and I said, do people know the answer to that? I don't think I know the answer to that.
It's tricky, like, because movie star as well, like famous person, there may be a broader spectrum, but movie star is very specific.
Yeah.
Well, Ben had an answer for you also.
Yeah. See, I was thinking Daniel Radcliffe with better hair. That's what I was thinking. You know, I just wondered if I came up and asked you, can you do a Patronus, real quick for us? Can you,
Yeah, that's
what I was thinking.
I was like, I don't know if Joe is the guy that's going to like that or not. We're still getting to know you.
I'm not sure about that.
Some people would be very stoked.
They're like, yes, Harry Potter.
Especially if they're like 9. So. I would be stoked. I'm pretty into Harry Potter.
So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Kimberly and Coach Show. Today, we have a very exciting guest with us today. He's a new pandemic colleague that we met over the last 15 months. And he is Joe Shannon, the program director for the MPACT Assessment over at Newton Institute. And he definitely has better hair than I do. That's for sure. So.
That bar is low, babe. Ben has other good qualities.
That's right.
Well, Joe has been teaching us about this new tool called MPACT, and we are in the process of getting certified with the MPACT Assessment. And it's been really fun because Joe is a really enthusiastic coach. And so he has really guided us into the community and helped shape our learning. And you're going to see as we get into what the assessment is, that that's pretty in line with his quotients. So when we did talk about finally unpausing our podcast, which has been on pause for the entire pandemic, the first person that we wanted to bring onto the show was Joe.
So Joe, thanks for being on the show. Can you give us a quick picture of a big picture view of the MPACT Assessment and the quotients?
A quick big picture. I like
quick
that.
Big picture. Just real fast.
The quickest, biggest picture you can give in one setting. So, I mean, I think, whenever I explain MPACT to people, I always try to think big. And I think about, every leader, I think, wants to be part of a team, leading a team that's making a meaningful impact. And, that's kind of why we chose the name MPACT, because it's all about making an impact, whether that's the individual level or the team level, just one-on-one or with the team that you lead. And so, the problem is that a lot of those leaders really don't have the practical tools, or there are many tools out there, you don't know which ones to use.
Right.
Really help your people thrive. And so MPACT really exists because, we believe everyone deserves to be part of a flourishing team that's making an impact. How many times we've been on teams where we're just kind of maybe clock in, clock out, and we don't feel like we're making a real difference, or we don't maybe feel seen or heard by the people that we work with. And so we want everyone to experience that kind of team. And so MPACT is all about helping elevate others, elevate the people around you, and any team you're a part of. I think when you talk about the word assessment, everyone's heard of assessments, taken assessments. There's so many different assessments out there. Why is this one any different? And this one really is just focus. It's more of an outward focus, where I think a lot of assessments are inward focus. It's helping you understand, how do I elevate other people? How do I elevate the people around me? How can we elevate each other? How can I even be part of a team where I feel like other people want to elevate me and the rest of us?
Yeah.
So it's really a platform that helps leaders create that kind of culture where everyone's contributions, unique, diverse contributions, are understood for what they are, respected by everyone and received by everyone, so people can work better together to achieve whatever the team's common goals are that they have, and to make a greater impact. So I guess that's kind of the big picture, but what that ultimately translates into, down from the vision, is it's the assessment that helps you identify how you elevate the people around you. Then there's a visual dashboard that kind of displays the report of your results to help you embrace who you are. And then we have a suite of tools and inside the dashboard platform that helps activate, actually, not just leave it at the results that I've identified who I am and how I elevate the team, but how do I make that practical so we can actually provide more value to the team and elevate the people around you, elevate the team. So that's the big, quick picture.
Yeah, man. You know what, Joe? I really love the elevate and collaborate part of MPACT, because it is it does bring out the preferences of how we interact with other people and how we operate on the team. And the practicality of it was a thing that struck us, I think, in addition to the beautiful work that you've done already with the videos and, and the explanations. And, when I was reading my own quotient, I'm like, wow, that nails me to a T. I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing.
It really did. We were looking at it like, whoa, that's you. That is exactly you.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you know that we work with a lot of tools. We work with the Enneagram and Clifton Strengths and Myers-Briggs, and MPACT is quickly becoming one of our favorite tools. And so I was wondering if you could talk about, like, how do you think it works alongside those tools? How do you think it compares to them?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that I hear a lot from people, whether it's just a one-on-one or if I'm doing a webinar, people wait for the Q&A. And like I said before, everyone has heard of assessments, taken assessments, and sometimes that's all bucketed together with personality, right? So, I've already done a personality assessment, so I already know which letter I am or number I am or sequence of numbers or letters I am. And I think what we see, some people are all about that. They love that. They love being labeled. Other people, they do not want to be labeled. They're very unique. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. They know that they're the most self-aware people, and they don't like assessments because they pigeonhole them. And I think we would say, this isn't about putting you in a box. It's much more diverse than just here's your letter, here's your number. There's much more options, but it's accessible for people. It's very contextual for the team. So first of all, this is not a personality assessment. It's not a capabilities assessment in terms of something like a strengths finder or stand out. It's not a motivations assessment, so it's not kind of helping you understand, why you're motivated to operate a certain way. It's not strictly communication style. How do you communicate with others? There are lots of assessments out there that measure that. And there are, other categories of assessments. This is, as you said, it's all about how you elevate and collaborate with others. People always call it, well, it's the team assessment. It's not an assessment that everyone takes on the team and then that's your result. It's an individual assessment, but you use it to understand how everyone is different and how you're collaborating together to achieve your shared success.
Yeah.
We love it because we often work with companies that are trying to fix their team dynamic. And they want to use a tool like, say, the Enneagram. And we love the Enneagram, but you're going to get into a lot of personal stuff that people don't necessarily have a choice about whether they're divulging, But with something like MPACT, it is specifically around how you work on the team and how you, as a team member, achieve the results that the team is trying to get. And so I just think for the workplace, it is such a perfect tool to kind of dip your toes in and figure out, like, how can I be the best team member and how can I collaborate with people really well and help our whole team get the results that we can all enjoy together.
Yeah. Another thing I really like too is that the fact that, a manager who is, say, that has a really high mentoring quotient, is going to look very different than a manager who has a very high pioneering quotient. But you can still have both managers and both quotients in action,
Mhm. And you should, really.
You should, right?
You want both those things.
And nobody has to be the one thing, because we've heard of
Mhm.
these assessments being used really kind of as in an abusive context. And so I think that the interesting thing is that whether you're a salesperson and you have particular quotients, or if you are or if you're a customer service rep and you have specific quotients, all of these things can happen in the same role, but they're going to look different. And I think that ability to identify the difference, oh man, and to give people that language.
Joe, when you did your MPACT introduction, you didn't go through the 5 quotients. Do you want to really quickly tell us what the MPACT stands for?
Yes, and obviously, there's far more information and videos on the website, impactq.com, that will, walk that through maybe a little bit more succinctly than I will. But every letter in MPACT, the reason it's MPACT, stands for one of the 5 quotients. And, we say everyone has a measure of all 5. So it's not like you can get a 0 in something. But the degree to which you score across the assessment, you have strong in 1 and 2 and sometimes 3, and then you get scores for each of them. So M stands for mentoring, which is all about relationships and community, bringing that sort of sense of healthy and thriving community to the team. P stands for pioneering, which is all about strategy, risk-taking, innovation, keeping things moving with momentum. A stands for aligning, which is all about sort of values and meaning and purpose, making sure things are done for the right reasons. C, that's what I'm on, right?
Yes.
Which is all about connection and cause, bringing people into the movement, bringing people into the cause, and sort of seeing sales increase, numbers increase, seeing more people attracted to the movement. And T is teaching, which is all about sharing knowledge, improving, making sure we're in this phase of continuous learning and improvement. They're usually the people who are focused on data and systems and things like that. So you can see already how diverse each of those things are. But again, we never want to pigeonhole to say, well, you have the highest in mentoring, so you must always care about people and community. And what we say, in fact, is your highest quotient is really your why. It's what's most important to you on the team. In the assessment, it's what you've consistently prioritized. So if you are someone who does have mentoring, which is relationships and community, that's all about bringing people together, making sure everyone feels welcome and seen and heard, and the value of individuals. But your second quotient may influence how that shows up on the team. So, your second highest quotient, if that's pioneering, you want there to be a sense of community, you want there to be some connection, but you will do that through strategy, risk-taking, and innovation, and moving things forward and plowing new ground. That is a very different mentor than someone, let's say, with high teaching, who they're going to make sure we learn what made this community successful, and how can we codify sort of the principles that made this successful. How do we make sure that as new team members do come in, that they learn our best practices, or they learn some of the lessons that we've learned along the way, and train those people and make sure that we all have the same knowledge, because they believe in that fairness. So that's just 2 examples. There's a lot of other variations that you can get into, but I think it gives coaches, managers, leaders some insight into say, okay, this is why these 2 people or these 5 people seem to mesh really well together, and there's a couple of people on the outside over here. How can we bring them more into the community? There's more in terms of the different insights that we talk about in the assessment results. Again, we're not just giving you your scores, but we're saying when you're communicating with other people, what are some of the things you focus on? When you're implementing new ideas with other people, what's going to be your primary perspective or focus on that? What's most important to you? When you are, let's say, problem solving, there's conflict or there's tension on the team, or you have to overcome some objection, what's going to be your approach to that with the way that you scored? And it just becomes a wonderful way to practically turn, okay, this is who I am. what do I do about that on this team based on what this team is trying to do, and even the other people that we have with us.
Yeah. One of the tools in the dashboard that was released in earlier this year provides a spidergram. And I love this spidergram because I can see on the teams where everybody kind of overlaps. And if there's like a big, huge gaping hole in leadership preference or in team ability, you can really help teams spotlight that and then help them with that level of functioning. And so I just think I love it. So we, in a previous conversation, we started talking about the dog food question, which is something that comes up in my world a lot from the technology world.
We'll explain it for the rest of us.
Right. So the idea, the idea of dog fooding is the ability to use your own stuff in-house. So for example, Microsoft always dog foods all of their new updates, their new software in-house before they release it to all the rest of us. So I want to ask you.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Yeah, thanks. How have y'all at Newton used this tool? Has there been any pushback? And really kind of what's been the most helpful part of it using it in-house?
Yeah, great question. And, even just to draw in the first part of your point there, the Teams dashboard, which was released, enables you to, it's an individual assessment, but it enables you to bring in all of those results in one place, add up all the scores, average it out, and say, okay, across these 10 people, the goal is to be well balanced so that we can, see from all of these different perspectives, because they're all essential for teams to reach their full potential.
Yeah.
So are we a little shy on the teaching side? Are we way too heavy on the pioneering side? And what we found, obviously with the testing and the different phases of product development for the platform is, we brought our team in, we brought many other teams in and just inputted everyone's results. And just going through that process to say, what is the team that we have, was a wonderful first step. And we did that, just with MPACT. And I think, we're all pretty close to the product development. We're all pretty close to, where it comes from and all of the different aspects. We've all been through different coaching. We kind of road test the tools as we go. And so I don't think there's been any pushback to where we've landed. I think we're a team that does have a lot of high pioneering. So we are constantly challenging things, saying, are we sure that's what we want to say there? Are we sure that's what we want to say there? Are we sure that question, especially when we were developing the questions, the insights, all of the tools and everything. So we're sure that captures what we're trying to capture here. And so we did a lot of research there. But I think what was groundbreaking for us as a team was once we inputted everyone's scores to say, okay, yes, we are actually low in teaching. Yes, we are high in pioneering. And the platform doesn't just say, here's your results, here's your scores, you're high in this, you're low in that, good luck. Specific insights to say, what is a dysfunctional characteristic of a team that's too high pioneering? Could it be that you are going to run off the edge of a cliff because you have so much excitement for this new thing that you're trying and you're challenging the status quo, but you're leaving people behind. You're just about rolling down the hill and everything's falling apart. And that's a very dysfunctional atmosphere for someone who is not wired that way to be a part of. And I think it through other conversations with different coaches, that's been a shared experience, is when you have too much of something, people who don't necessarily resonate with or display that, they get left behind, or they don't feel like they're being heard, or they don't feel valued for what they bring. And I think MPACT is about helping everyone understand, respect, and receive the diversity that we all have these different team contributions to make. Do I want to humble myself and say, you know what, I know I'm wired a certain way to present certain things, and I know that the team needs that, but boy, do I know that I have a blind spot in this area, and I need to collaborate with other people. And, like I said, humble myself and collaborate with someone else who's strong in that and invite them to be part of the process. I think, we're in a culture that idolizes the individual success, I'm going to make it myself, I'm going to hustle until I burn out, or I'm going to hustle and it's going to be great and I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family. You know, we live in that culture where everyone wants to make it for themselves. I think impact invites us into how do we help each other? How do I help them be elevated? How do they help me be elevated so that the entire team can reach its full potential?
Yeah. I think it gives you the language to appreciate the people who are bringing something that isn't the top thing in your team. We have worked with a lot of startup companies, so high pioneering. I've been on a lot of teams where I'm the only kind of mentoring, community-driven person. And the difference between a team that is like aware of that and appreciates, you know, you're bringing that mentoring, community building energy, and we really need it, is so different than a team that is like, we don't care about that, we're moving forward, you know, you're slowing us down here. And so, and then on those teams where they don't care about that, the turnover was so high, of course, because that's what happens, right? If you don't have a good community, you're going really fast, but you're just dropping people, you're just leaving a trail, right? And then that eventually slows you down. So even though you feel like you're going so fast, you're constantly managing the loss of people, you know? And so it's just so much more fun to be on a team, even if you are kind of the outlier, where there's a language where we appreciate all 5 of the quotients, then your team is just going to be so much more enjoyable for everyone, and your results are going to be better, of course.
Yeah.
And I think to underscore maybe focus in on the pioneer again, you know, it's the pioneer's responsibility to understand that there are different people and there are different people who focus on different things, and that is so important. You know, the amount of leaders who come in and say, yeah, you're slowing me down. Why do I always feel like you're pumping the brakes so that I can't make the progress I want to? But if they can humble themselves and say, you know, I recognize that I, as a pioneer, desire to scale and grow and expand and multiply and move things ahead. Let's say, you know, someone who they may have conflict with is someone with high teaching, they desire to sustain. And think about a pioneer who doesn't have any sustainability. You know, you're just going to keep burning through people or resources, or, you know, you might be able to make it for so long, but it's probably not, you know, you don't have that firm foundation. And that's really what the high teacher is going to bring, the sustaining. What have we done well? What has worked for other people? What has worked in our industry? What has worked? And how do we train that to the next generation so that they can be as successful or more successful, so they can build on that success? So though pioneer and teacher really do have a lot of challenge, they really complement each other. And so that's just 2 of the quotients. The other quotients, there are other ways that those have dynamics, and the report shows people those specifics.
Yeah, right on. You know, back when I was working in an artificial intelligence firm, one of my managers, Gopal, he had this saying, which was very simple: no heroes. You know, it was very, very team focused. And it's something that when I heard that, I'm like, this sounds counterintuitive to the culture that we've grown up in. But when you're moving forward as a team, it's a different mindset, and you do get more done. You know, what is that old adage? You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go the distance, go with others. Right. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Impact gives you the practical tools to say, how do we make that happen? You know, I think everyone could resonate with wanting to go far, and wanting to be successful, wanting to make an impact. But how do we actually do that? Impact will identify where you're at and how to move forward. So it's practical.
Yeah. Okay, Joe. So if there's one thing that you would like our audience to take with them to work today, like they listen to the podcast and they walk into their job, what would they take with them from this conversation?
I think, you know, irrespective of actually taking assessment using the tool itself, you know, that's a step that you can take. But I think really it's a mindset of, I want to understand who I am, but I also want to understand the people that I'm with. You know, having the humility, having the respect to be in unity with other people, to know that, yes, we may all have different personalities, skills, capabilities, experience, education. We all have those different things. How can I learn from the people around me? How how can I receive from the people around me? And if we do that, hopefully they'll do the same for us. So that's, I think, the biggest takeaway is the mindset. And many people have that mindset. They just don't have the practical tools to really bring it deeply into their team and make some plans to improve collaboration. But the biggest shift is, be open to understand, respect, and receive everyone that you work with.
Right on. I love it. Yep. All right. So Joe, how can people find out more and start using the tool right now if they want to?
Yes. So MPACTQ, MPACTQ.com is the website. Everything on there from how-to videos, questions around what is the framework, what are these 5 quotients, demos, lots of videos around what we talked about, the dashboard, the team's dashboard, and obviously taking the assessment is all through there. So that's the best place to go, MPACTQ.com.
Love it.
Joe is on all the videos. So when we first started watching the videos, we were like, did they hire a talent for this? He's got that awesome British accent. So videos are fantastic.
Yeah. And then we met Joe online.
We're like, he's real.
I was like, whoa, it's you. It's your voice.
They just set me up with the voiceover guy. What's this?
Joe, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. It's been awesome again to visit with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
And for our listeners, thank you for listening and joining in on the conversation. Again, this is the Kimberly and Coach Show, where we firmly endorse shout singing 1980s songs at the top of your voice in your kitchen while cooking. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. So welcome to the Epilogue in this new segment, in this new season of podcasting and now videocasting. Yes. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube.
Thanks for watching.
And the other various sites this might pop up on. It's a new segment where we really want to bring out and talk about the practice of value from the conversations that we just had. Right. And I think that providing you as our listener, our audience, with something tactical and tangible, and even maybe expounding upon that, principle that our guests bring in, I think is really going to be something that we really hope is going to help you on a day-to-day basis. So Kimberly, when Joe was talking about the ability to bring in diversity and these different perspectives, you really kind of landed, I think, on a pretty succinct practice of value to that I think Joe is active in. I think it's really a cool statement.
Yeah, I think that when Joe was talking about how he uses the MPACT in his team, the practice that he really was bringing to the forefront was the practice of seeking out a diversity of perspective and then making space for that diversity. And so our conversation really eddied around that for a little bit. And I think that we can take that right into how we work with our teams and how we manage people, and even how we look at things in our family life or with our customers if you're a team of one. But when we invite a perspective that is different than ours, he kept using the phrase, if I could be a humble leader, if a leader will humble themselves.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. But instead of having to have all the answers and if I'm a good leader, everyone will agree with me. Instead, looking for the people who have a different perspective and then creating space for them to bring that perspective so that you can have a more intelligent result. And I think that little tweak of mindset can make so much space for people who normally feel kind of steamrolled in conversations. And that is going to give you the better result that you want. So,
yeah. It really brings me back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, called Peoria, Illinois. I once sold internet DSL lines.
It's a short-lived stint.
Yeah, it was a short-lived stint.
He was real good at it, though.
I was like top seller all the time, but for like 3 months I was there. But one thing that that was really brought home to me is that there are a lot of people who had critiques that were part of, in the MPACT scheme, it's called the aligning quotient. And as I think back to all these different teams, the biggest team that I know that had a bunch of aligning quotient on it was that team. And I think that if the managers had taken the time to seek out that diverse and contrarian thinking, I think there would have been a significantly distinct change in the work environment, because it was a terrible environment to work in, and there are many things that they did really poorly. They could really have benefited from a culture coach, but
we were dating at this time. It's like 20 years ago, which because it's a story about DSL, if you even know what that is. The youngins probably are like, what?
What's DSL, Daddy?
But it was like the internet that was after the internet that screamed at you when you logged on.
After dial-up.
Yeah. Faster internet, but it'd be real slow now, right?
Yeah, it wasn't cable, right? So there's cable internet, but DSL is kind of what the phone company would provide. So it was a really interesting. But I think knowing what we know now about teams, and
he would come home and tell me these stories. He would come back, and I would be like, "What are you doing there? Don't do this anymore."
Yeah. So I did eventually get a different job in Chicago, and
But what you're saying is that there were people who were telling them how to fix it.
Yeah.
But they were not willing to hear them.
Oh, not only were they not willing to hear them, but they just fired them.
Oh, well.
Because this is a revolving door shop anyway. Like, it's fine. We'll get 4 more people to replace you. I'm like, great culture, guys.
Great culture. Yeah.
Notice that I'm leaving out the name of the company to protect the guilty. But yeah, I mean, it's really a contrary thought process. And it takes a really strong leader to look for those aligning individuals who could bring out something new and exciting that you might not even know or think's possible. Mm-hmm. And I think
that's... Or call you on your crap. Because you need that.
Or that. You just
think, to quote Joe, when you are humble enough to seek out that different perspective, then it's not about your ego. It's about whether your culture or your product or your strategy is actually working. And if you're willing to hear when it's not, then you can fix it. If you're not willing to hear when it's not, you can't fix it, right?
Right, for sure. So once again, that's our epilogue for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, you can always find us at KimberlyCoach.com and Instagram and our new YouTube channel. Yes. If you're listening to this on the podcast, audio only version. But yeah, so once again, thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you soon.